Hey, what's up everybody? I was tagged by my good friends at The Brave and the Boys, specifically by Jordan, to do this 5 comic book challenge. In it, I guess it's just gonna be showing you some of my collection. I originally tried to find my very first X-Men comic, but I could not find it. I kind of had to dig around for some of this stuff, but I'll show you some of my 5 favorite comic books. Alright, so for the first one I was given this. This one is kind of like one of my first comics, just because as a medium, the very first comic that I really had was through the Sunday paper. And of course one of the first ones that usually is on the front page would be The Peanuts by Charles Schulz, of course. This one over here, this one was given to me by my sister. There's The Peanuts, The Art of Charles M. Schulz. What I do like about this book in particular is how it's well designed in terms of the layout on here. In it, they kind of show you how it looks like as a medium in itself. They kind of put tape. They kind of oversized the image so you could see how the printing was. It just makes it a little bit more original, and the design-wise of this looks really good on here. So, and I think, of course, the Peanuts are really important in my life, at least. It being like one of your first comics as a kid. One of my favorite ones, The Peanuts, and this, The Art of Charles M. Schulz. I really like this one. Second one, no pun intended, would actually be Seconds by Brian Lee O'Malley. Of course, you may remember him from Scott Pilgrim. I really, really like this one just because it's kind of self-contained. It's one book rather than a bunch of different volumes on this one. And this is my copy. I think this was a Barnes & Noble's exclusive. And main thing on this one is that it was autographed in the inside. And I do remember when I first got this, I remember just reading it, and I pretty much read it all the way through. And I just like the pacing, the speed of it. I love the drawings, of course, on here. I got to meet him at Comic-Con 2015. I did get one picture signed, and it was from page 124. It was pretty much just a blown-up copy of that picture, but just an unfinished, uncolored version. It's one of my favorite pictures, and I got it signed by him. If you guys haven't read this book, I suggest you guys do. It's really one of my favorite ones on here. Now, the third one, I don't have the copy of the book, but Tula Lotay is one of my favorite artists. She has a new comic called Barnstormers. I actually have yet to read that one, but the reason why I'm kind of picking her in general is because I really love her art style. I chose some of her little portrait books that she makes. She does a lot of comic work. Like if you go through some of these books, you'll actually see some that you may have seen as covers, alternative art. She's made a couple more books, but in my collection I have 4 of them. All of them are really nice, all postcard worthy, if I would say so. One day I will own one of her actual original pieces of art. For the meanwhile, I'll say these are some of my favorites from her. Now I don't know if these count as comic books, but in terms of her art as a book, I'm going to pick this one as some of my favorite ones. And then for some of the ones that I really had to dig for, I found one of my old binders. And as far as like all of these, they came in this little, they come in the Ultra Pros, so you know that they were kind of old school like this. One of my favorite comics from my little binder over here is going to be this one here. This is going to be X-Men issue number 30. There's going to be Cyclops and Jean Grey's wedding. What I do like about this one is I actually really like the cover a lot. It screams out 90s to me, but it's a very beautiful cover. Story-wise, it's actually a really good story. It's like if you were invited to a wedding and what would happen if X-Men were in there. One of my favorite parts in here is the garter toss and the bouquet toss. Both of them, of course, the garter toss, Gambit gets the garter and then Rogue gets the bouquet. So I thought that was a really cool touch. Another cool part on here was when they did the first dance. And of course, it was Professor X and Jean Grey, and then they were actually floating. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, overall, it's a really, really nice book, really well drawn, and one of my favorite issues from X-Men. And I guess comic book number 5, I will say, was one of the first ones that kind of had a lot of hype behind it. I was, of course, a comic book fan in the 90s, so I really watched the cartoons a lot. And then I got into the comics. I think my cousin and then some friends at school were talking about it, something going bad in the X-Men. This was one of the issues from that series, and it was X-Men number 25, and it was, what, 1993? This is from the Fatal Attractions run that they had. And of course the biggest thing on here, of course, is Magneto taking out the adamantium from Wolverine. And I guess reading this one as a kid, like, he didn't think that there was going to be a whole lot of bad stuff coming up on there. This was the one where, it, to me, I think was one of the more graphic ones, especially when you see those pages where Magneto's taking out the adamantium from Logan. To me, this is a very cinematic looking issue. When you kind of look, especially in that last panel, Colossus kind of holding up Magneto, it looks like it could be from a movie. I'm not gonna lie, if they actually end up doing X-Men and they kind of do something like this, that would be pretty dope. And also what I do like about this cover, of course, is that they had this Gambit hologram. Like, throughout this Fatal Attractions run, they had different holograms on there, and I think that was one of the selling points to this. So these are my top 5 favorite comics. I hope you guys enjoyed. I really don't know who to tag on this particular video, so if you watch this video and get to the end of it, go ahead and try to do the video. Otherwise, go ahead and check out the Brave and the Boys channel. They do really good work with a lot of content creators, and go give them a like, check their videos, and go subscribe to them, alright? For now, peace out, guys.